Jason and King had been friends since they were kids, growing up in the same rough neighborhood where every corner held a memory, and every block was a battlefield. They were inseparable, but their lives had taken different paths. Jason had always been the dreamer, the one who wanted more than the streets could offer. King, on the other hand, had embraced the streets, becoming a hustler who knew how to play the game and make quick money. As they got older, the divide between their worlds grew. Jason had spent his nights studying, burying himself in books, trying to escape the fate that seemed to cling to everyone around him. His ticket out was a scholarship to a university miles away from the life he knew. It was his chance to start over, to build something better. King, though, had his own empire. He ran the streets with a kind of ruthless efficiency that Jason both respected and feared. Despite the money, the women, and the power, there was always something dark in King's eyes, a hunger that could never be satisfied. The night before Jason was set to leave for college, they met up at their usual spot, a rundown playground that had seen better days. The swings creaked in the wind as they sat on the rusted bench, sharing a blunt, the smoke mixing with the heavy August air. "So, you really leaving, huh?" King asked, his voice low, almost menacing. "Yeah, man. I gotta get out of here. This place. It's not for me," Jason replied, his voice filled with a mix of excitement and anxiety. King nodded slowly, his eyes narrowing. "You think you're better than this? Better than me?" Jason shook his head. "It's not like that. I need to do something with my life, King. I can't be stuck here forever." King chuckled, but there was no humor in it. "You ain't never leaving, Jay. This place is in you. You can't just walk away from it." Jason felt a chill run down his spine. There was truth in King's words, a darkness that he couldn't fully escape. But he refused to believe it had to be his reality. "I gotta try, man. I gotta try." King stood up, towering over Jason. "You think those college boys gonna respect you? They'll eat you alive. Out there, you ain't nobody, just another broke kid from the hood. But here, you got me. I got your back." Jason looked up at King, seeing the hardness in his face, the life he was trapped in. "And what's that got me? A life looking over my shoulder, wondering when it's gonna end? Nah, King. I can't live like that." King's expression hardened, his jaw clenching. "You walk away from me, Jay, you on your own. Don't come running back when shit gets real out there." Jason stood, facing his friend, his voice steady. "Maybe I need to be on my own. Maybe that's the only way I'll ever find out who I am." The tension hung between them, thick and suffocating. Finally, King nodded, stepping back. "Do what you gotta do. But remember this, the streets don't forget. And neither do I." Jason left that night, his bags packed, and his heart heavy. As he boarded the bus that would take him to a new life, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was leaving more behind than just a friend. He was leaving behind a part of himself, a part that would always be tied to the streets, no matter how far he ran. Years later, after college, Jason had built a life for himself. He had a decent job, a nice apartment, and was making something of himself. But there was always a shadow, a voice in the back of his mind reminding him of where he came from, of the friend he left behind. One day, he got a call. King was unalived, wounded in a deal gone wrong. The news hit Jason like a punch to the gut. He had known it could happen, but that didn't make it any easier. He went to the funeral, standing among faces he hadn't seen in years, feeling like an outsider in the place that had once been his whole world. As he stood over King's grave, Jason realized the truth: no matter how far he ran, he could never fully escape his past. But he had a choice. He could let it define him, drag him down into the darkness that had claimed so many others. Or he could learn from it, use it as fuel to keep moving forward, to honor the memory of a friend who had been trapped in a life he couldn't escape. Jason left the cemetery that day with a heavy heart, but also with a renewed determination. King's death was a reminder of what he had been running from, but also of why he had to keep going. The streets may never forget, but Jason had learned that he didn't have to be defined by them. He had the power to choose his own path, and that was a lesson he would carry with him for the rest of his life.